Hello and welcome to the final Gribbly's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour of 2024. This is the time each week when I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity while answering all of its questions. And if you are a piece of humanity with a question for me, leave it in the comments down below with the hashtag AskGribbs, and I will answer any question, big questions, small questions, personal questions. You cannot imagine a question I'm unable to answer. Not only is this the final Sunday Antisocial of the year, it is the first Sunday Antisocial since Christmas. I hope you had a happy Christmas, unless you don't celebrate Christmas, in which case I hope you had a happy Hanukkah or happy Kwanzaa, or if you don't celebrate anything, well, I hope you're happy. Today I am smoking my Stanwell Colonial Shape 126. It's a very fine, I'm gonna quit living a lie. I have had this pipe for years and years and it actually doesn't smoke that well. I'm sorry. I've been lying to you. I'm sorry. But it is very pretty. I bought it after surviving a near-death experience, and I went straight to my local tobacconist where they sell Beck's Old Limey Bastard, which is the finest tobacco. Full stop. And that's what's in my pipe now. So even though it does have an occasional gurgle, and it is hard to pass a pipe cleaner through it, I am enjoying this pipe. Enough about that. Let's get to the content you have waited an entire year for. This is the Gribbly's Folly 2024 Year in Review. This year sucked. That's the whole review. You know how I feel. You know how I feel about this time of year. If you've been following my channel for more than a hot second, you know that I cannot stand Christmas and everything that comes with and around it, Christmas adjacent things. I'm sorry. It's not my thing, and I've gotten to a point in life where I just have to accept that and tolerate everyone else, right? Because everyone else just seems to love it. Everybody just thinks it's the best thing, I don't. Everyone else is wrong. Tell me this. If there are any like Christmassy folks out there, because those people that are just like really into it. They just wait all year. They can't stand it. They put the tree up the day after Halloween. If you are one of those people, let's talk. Explain to me. This is a Gribbs Ask the Audience question. What is wrong? No, why are you like, what's the polite way to put, what makes you tick? And then after you have ticked for however many months you enjoy Christmas for, are you happy at the end of it? Is anyone happy when it's all over? Like, have you ever sat back and said, man, that was just a great Christmas, and everyone had a wonderful time. No one said anything awkward. No one got their feelings hurt. No family members were insensitive. We're all financially secure. I can't wait for another bright new year. No one has ever said that. Why do we do this to ourselves? I don't understand. No, I do understand it. We do this to ourselves so that Jeff Bezos can buy a bigger yacht. But we'll move on. All right, let's get through all the complaining stuff so I can tell you the other complaining stuff that I have. It's not my fault. It's really not. You guys want this. This is what you want. I put up a video of me going fishing, right? One comment on my fishing video. No, you guys want to hear me complain. I know what makes you tick. So yeah, I was diplomatic there. Okay, so year in review. We got to bring it down a notch. Hang on. I almost thought about changing the taglines, that this is when I complain, because I don't, there's a difference between complaining and just talking about what happened. I'm not complaining about how we fared in the storm, or really even the storm itself. Honestly, the main thing I think about the storm now, and I have not processed the storm, because how you think you're over something, and then you come across a new aspect of it and it hits you all over again. That's still happening to me. I'll drive through a new part of town that I haven't been to since everything happened, and I'll see all the destruction, and it will just blow my mind, and it's like back to day one. So I'm not over it, but my takeaway at this point is we live out of alignment with capital N nature. I know we've got people from a lot of different faith backgrounds in this audience, but yeah, we live out of alignment with God. Even if your only concept of that is like the 500-year floodplain, You know, this was an act of God in the legal sense, and we don't think about those things until they happen to us, as you know, in our society. And that's the main takeaway I've got right now. Everybody's rebuilding. You know, investors are coming in. We're breaking new ground, and well, we're moving the mud off the ground to break it. And I'm just like, y'all, what are you doing, man? Like, you need to be a little farther from the river next time. There were some positives this year. I don't want to leave those out. I had a very successful exhibit. I got to exhibit my work from 10 years ago when same-sex marriage became legal in North Carolina. And your boy, Gribbs, was on the scene with my camera when it happened, where it happened. I got to document all that stuff in it. And then this year we had a 10-year retrospective exhibit. It's pretty awesome. And I released an EP. I made my musical debut. That was fun. And then there was the goddamn election. You know, hadn't we had enough? Can we, you know, just when you think you're over something. No, you're not over it. No, here's the next thing. And, you know, so we all dealt with that. No, we haven't dealt with it, but we are pretending to deal with it. Nobody knows what's coming. The future is uncertain. Everyone's like, hey, I hope we have a brighter year next year. And then you just kind of trail off because there's not really any hope for that. Anyway, how about that Luigi guy, huh? We didn't talk about it. I haven't made any video. You know that I both court and shoo away conspiracy theorists. And I think that it took me a minute to figure out how I felt about the whole thing. And everybody got really obsessed with Luigi's pistol. To the point where people thought it was like a veterinary gun based on the well rod from World War II. You guys have played way too much Call of Duty in the conspiracy theory community. Like maybe play Super Mario Brothers. I don't know. Anything else. Why in the hell would someone procure a well rod? What? It just doesn't, none of it makes sense. And then the idea that like you would go to the trouble of 3D printing a gun, is that what he did? I don't know. No one, there's not been, you know, everybody was all obsessed about it, then he got caught. Why did he have it on him when he was arrested? What kind of moron uses some kind of gun that's supposed to be did he use a ghost gun? Hang on, I have to Google this. All right, this is classic. Google's AI overview, which you can't turn off, you can't make that go away, says Luigi is believed to have used a 3D printed ghost gun. But then the first actual source says, at first glance, the gun in police photographs, the one authorities believe Luigi used appears to be a Glock 19. It's like literally the most common handgun in America. But of course, the New York Times story is called "The History of the Pistol Found with Luigi Mangione." The history of the Glock 19. What? Okay, all right. It was at least partially printed on a 3D printer. The giveaways are subtle. The Glock logo is absent. Indentations of the grip known as stippling, blah, 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 3D printed, blah, blah. Okay, all right, so he did go to the trouble of store-bought, so he did go to the trouble of 3D printing some parts to his Glock 19 and then didn't get rid of the gun? The whole point of 3D printing the gun is just so it can't be what, you just keep it on you? Crazy right-wing gun guys everywhere are just cringing at this. Normal gun guys, like the one that I used to be, I don't know that we're cringing, but because we never 3D printed guns anyway, because there's only one reason you would do that, if you're planning to kill somebody. How many VPNs do I need to use to talk about this? So when they caught him with the gun, I was like, this ain't the guy. There's no way. There's no way this dude was smart enough to pull this off, 3D printed the gun, and then kept it on him with a manifesto? No, like the Unabomber didn't have his actually he did. He had his manifesto and like a bunch of other stuff in his cabin. Okay, maybe they're just stupid. Anyway, when he started yelling outside the courtroom and he wasn't yelling, "You've got the wrong guy, I didn't do it, I'm a patsy," I was like, oh, okay, all right, we got the right guy. Like, nobody else would yell about like healthcare's injustice to the American people or something. Like, you know, if you were the wrong guy, you would just be making yourself look super guilty. I have made several statements about the morality involved in what happened. And we're going to move on. I'm going to delete those while I'm editing because I don't want to talk about that. You know what I do want to talk about though? Here we go. Fun story. You ever notice how anybody says fun story, the story they're getting ready to tell you is not a fun story? So I got brunch with another wedding industry professional. And we go to the cafe and we sit down and we just start sobbing to each other because our careers are over, because no one's ever going to want to get married in front of a giant pile of debris. Was that complaining? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't think it's more just describing the reality that we're living with. Anyway, so we sit down to talk about, to take the temperature, to say, how you doing? How are you doing? Okay. Your family's alive. You got any money? No, me neither. Okay, move on. So while we're sitting there, I noticed a couple of ragamuffin dudes across the street, hobos, homeless, unhoused, vagrant ne'er-do-wells, right? I'm trying not to make a moral judgment. I'm not actually making a moral judgment, especially given what comes next in the story. But for expediency's sake, I will admit that these are the kinds of folks that most people, myself included in this instance, you look at and you go, and you go back to your conversation. You try not to notice the folks that live underneath our society. So I didn't. I registered that they were there, and I moved on. And we were there for probably 45 minutes when a lady started screaming, and I looked up across the street, and a lady is screaming, and I couldn't hear what she was screaming, but I immediately knew what was happening, which was that one of these gentlemen had overdosed on fentanyl. And I, for a by the grace of God style reason, happened to be carrying a dose of Narcan. I won't get into why I had the Narcan. But I don't know no one in my life is an opiate user. It was just like I happened to be given some Narcan, and I was like, oh, I'll put that in my first aid kit that I keep in my bag, And so I knew what was happening, and I ran across the street. And when I got there, the guy was dead. He was purple. I have seen more than my fair share of dead bodies. This guy was one of those, for sure. The lady who was attending to him had happened to be driving by. She was just some random lady driving by. She was not a friend of his. A random lady driving by saw him laying there dead, basically, and got out of her car, and she had a dose of Narcan and had already given it to him when I got there. And so she's starting mouth to mouth and looks at me. She's doing chest compressions. Yeah, she was doing chest compressions and looks at me and is like, do you want to do mouth to mouth? And I said, no, I don't. I'm still figuring out how I feel about the fact that I was like, nope, I am not going to put myself and my family at risk of whatever is coming out of that guy's mouth, be it hepatitis or fentanyl. I don't know. I don't know how he ingested it. I have never used opiates. I understand that if you do not use opiates and you ingest fentanyl, you are at great risk. Sorry, I got a kid to raise. So I give the lady my dose of Narcan. She knew what to do with it. She squirts it up the dude's nose. Could already hear the sirens coming. Within 2 minutes, the guy is standing up, getting in the ambulance. I've never seen anything like it. Like, he was purple. And then he was getting up and getting in the ambulance under his own power. Obviously, that's a lot to process. My main feeling, walking back across the street to sit down with my friend, my main feeling was, can I tell you this feeling? This isn't really. It was annoyance. It was like, hey, glad you're alive. Ambulance drives off into the sunset, and could we please not have any emergencies for like 10 minutes? Like, why me? Why was I? I mean, it could have been anyone in Nashville. We've all been through the same stuff. But like, did it have to? Why you got to do that, man? Like, we're all living through an act of God, right? This was an act of whatever your name is, opiate overdosing dude. Like, you made the choices that got you there. Now, so there's first thought. There's first reaction. But that's not necessarily true. Like here I am, and I'm worried about putting my life back together, trying to have a business meeting, trying to schmooze, trying to network, and I feel like this is an intrusion. But what's actually happening is this guy and me, we're in the same society, and just because I haven't been prescribed opioids, and because my life has been privileged enough that I've never turned to substances to deal with anything. I don't know that I'm comfortable with that thin little veneer of separation between the two of us. The giant pharmaceutical companies have been adjudicated in court to be responsible, at least partially, for the opioid epidemic. Like, this is part of the system that we have created and allowed to be created on our watch. So as much as it sucked, and as much as like I was just really overwhelmed by it. It's amazing it doesn't happen more often. I mean, it does. It happens to somebody every day. I went to the fire department to get more Narcan because as annoyed as I was with having to use it, I was glad that I had it and glad that the guy lived. And they told me a lot of interesting things. They said that you should not do mouth to mouth, actually, that there is too much of a risk to the rescue breather. And it's not worth it. Like it's not that effective. Anyway, they said that. They said that the stuff in Asheville right now, the drugs are so potent that it often takes 3 or 4 doses of Narcan to bring someone out of it. So that's terrifying. Finally, they did not give me any Narcan at the fire department. I had to go to a few other sources, homeless shelters, but also the Buncombe County Health Department, where I was directed downstairs into the basement, and I had to go through like this anonymous interview process to get the Narcan. And I told the guy, I was like, I don't know any users. I just happened to be around an overdose, and now I want to make sure I carry Narcan. And he was like, that's cool, man. And I was like, I've got some friends that probably would like to do that too. I know some first aid, first responder, ham radio guys, you know. And he was like, cool. So he gave me, I think, four doses of Narcan. And then I walked out of his office, and the security guard stopped me before I went back upstairs and said I had to leave by a different exit. I'm not sure why. And I was like, is it because I've got Narcan? And he was like, yeah, you can't go back through the main lobby. And I was like, this is the antidote to the drugs. I'm not getting drugs. Like this is the giant pharma's made poison, and then they try to sell us the antidote. If you go to CVS, it's $50 a pop. I came here because I want to carry the antidote because I'm a Boy Scout, and you won't let me go back through the lobby? Apparently not. Apparently I'm an embarrassment to society. I mean, for a new reason. So to circle back to the Luigi thing, let's just speak in generalities. Yes, it's true. You should not murder people. That's not a good thing to do. Also, it's true that people shouldn't create systems that kill people for their own personal gain. That is also true. And there is the conflict that we're all carrying into the new year. I'm always teasing big plans. I'm always, always got a lot of stuff on the horizon, and it's true, I do now as well. But I'm not going to tease any of it because I want to end this year with a clean break. That's it. That's all. Nothing's coming. Nothing on the horizon. Who knows? Maybe you'll never hear from me again. I don't want to carry anything forward because we're all carrying so much, and I've got a lot of creative work that I'm deep in the trenches on. But it's time to like hibernate for a little while. It's time to say, we made it through, and we all just need to take a rest, take a deep breath. Watch your horizons, check your six, that sort of thing. And I'll see you in 2025. Thank you for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.